She had no idea the man she was humiliating was the secret owner of the corporation signing her $800 million deal. Under the golden chandeliers of the Metropolitan Crown Hotel in Manhattan, surrounded by CEOs, journalists, and state officials, the woman the entire city celebrated as a visionary, Adriana Voss, founder of Voss Urban Innovations, lifted her crystal wine glass and emptied it on her husband's face. The red liquid splashed across his cheeks, staining his collar as gasps echoed through the ballroom. "You don't belong in my circle, Evan," she hissed, her voice sharp enough to slice through the applause. "You carry the scent of small dreams. Of mediocrity. I can't have you embarrassing me in front of real power." She didn't know, no one knew, that the simple man she just publicly destroyed was Evan Mercer, the hidden owner of Mercer Infrastructure Holdings, the very company awarding her the biggest contract of her career. What happened next dismantled her empire, shattered her marriage, and revealed a truth that reshaped everything she thought she knew about love, loyalty, and arrogance. If you love emotional and heartwarming stories, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell, so you'll always be the first to hear our next story. Now, let's begin. The Metropolitan Crown Ballroom shimmered under cascades of light from 24 crystal chandeliers. Journalists clustered along the velvet rope. Politicians and investors filled every table. The governor's economic advisors stood near the stage, speaking in hushed tones. Tonight was meant to be Adriana Voss's coronation. Her company, Voss Urban Innovations, had just won New York's largest redevelopment contract of the decade. $800 million to transform East River Harbor. Her silver gown gleamed with every camera flash as she approached the podium. She looked unstoppable. At the far end of the room, seated alone at a small table near the exit, sat her husband, Evan Mercer, wearing a simple navy suit, plain tie, and shoes that didn't shine under the lights. Adriana almost never introduced him at events like these. He didn't fit the image she cultivated. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't loud. He didn't network. He just observed, quiet, steady, unreadable. Because no one in the room knew that he was worth far more than every executive present. And that he was the reason her company had landed every major investor it ever had. Not that she ever asked. As the presenter announced the beginning of the signing ceremony, cheers filled the ballroom. Adriana descended from the podium graciously, basking in the admiration radiating toward her. That's when she spotted Evan walking toward her. He held a glass of champagne, but his eyes showed only gentleness. "I'm proud of you," he whispered, leaning close so only she would hear. "You worked so hard for this." She stiffened as if touched by something unwelcome. "Evan, what are you doing here?" He blinked. "I came to support you. This is a corporate event," she murmured through her smile. "Not your kind of environment." People nearby turned to listen. She laughed lightly, too loudly. "Congratulate me later, okay? Let me handle this." He nodded slowly. "I'm not trying to embarrass you. I just—" "That's the problem," she interrupted. "You don't understand how this world works. These people make billion-dollar decisions. They don't live in your reality." A hush rippled across the nearest tables. He lowered his gaze. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean—" She stepped closer, voice low but venomous. "You're unworthy of being in my circle, Evan. Look at you. You have no presence, no ambition. You reek of smallness." Someone audibly gasped. Her cheeks glowed with the intoxicating thrill of power. She lifted her glass. "You need to remember your place." The wine arced through the air and struck his face with a crisp, devastating splash. Cameras flashed instantly. Evan didn't flinch. He simply took a slow breath and wiped his face with a handkerchief. His voice, when he finally spoke, was calm, eerily calm. "Next time," he said softly, "know who you're speaking to." Then he turned and walked out of the ballroom in absolute, chilling silence. Adriana watched him leave with a smirk of triumph. She had no idea she had just detonated the bomb beneath her own empire. The ceremony resumed awkwardly. Adriana straightened her dress, lifted her chin, and ignored the whispers following her every step. The presenter forced a smile. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight marks a historic partnership. But before she could sign the final document, a man in a charcoal suit rushed toward the stage, phone clutched in a shaking hand. He whispered urgently into the presenter's ear. The presenter's face drained of color. He grabbed the microphone. "I'm sorry, everyone. We've just received notice from Mercer Infrastructure Holdings. The signing ceremony is suspended immediately." A wave of stunned murmurs crashed across the ballroom. Adriana's pen froze midair. "Suspended," she repeated. "What do you mean suspended?" The man swallowed hard. "We were instructed to halt all proceedings. The order came directly from the executive office." "That's impossible," she snapped. "There must be a mistake." "I wish there were," he whispered. Cameras recorded every second as the company representatives closed their folders and walked out of the ballroom. Adriana stood frozen, her contract lying open, her signature lying untouched. Her triumph evaporated. Her stomach twisted. Something was very wrong. Outside the hotel, Evan stepped into the cool Manhattan air. His shirt still bore the dried stain of wine, but he didn't care. His phone buzzed. 2 messages. Pierce, termination executed. Alessia, funds fully withdrawn. You want me to handle the press or stay quiet? He typed nothing. Evan Mercer didn't need noise to be powerful. He simply walked into the night, calm, silent, unstoppable. Meanwhile, Adriana collapsed into the back seat of her lover's car. This lover? Julian Hale. A real estate broker who loved her glamour more than her heart. He held her trembling hands. "It'll make sense tomorrow," he whispered. "No, it won't," she said, staring blankly at the city lights. The next morning, Adriana woke to chaos. Dozens of missed calls. Hundreds of notifications. Headlines everywhere. Mercer Holdings cancels $800 million contract after CEO humiliates husband in public. Mystery investor withdraws all funding from Voss Innovations. Viral video, NYC power couple melts down at Gala. The clip spreading online showed the wine splashing across Evan's face in perfect slow motion. Caption: She threw wine at her husband, at his own signing. Her hands shook. "This can't be happening." Julian frowned, scrolling through updates. "It's everywhere. You're trending on every platform." She started crying. "Help me, please." But Julian's phone buzzed and his expression hardened. "I need to step out. I can't be tied to this." She froze. He grabbed his coat. "I'm sorry, Adriana. I really am." Then he left her. Just like that. The walk of shame to the man she destroyed. By evening, she had lost 3 major investors. Her entire board's confidence. All pending contracts. Her public reputation. Her lover. Her support network. Her world collapsed in less than 24 hours. She had only one place left to go. Evan's penthouse. The home he bought. With his money, which she always assumed was left from some old family inheritance. She knocked with trembling hands. When he opened the door, she whispered, "Can I come in?" He stepped aside silently. She entered, heels scraping the marble, mascara smudged from crying. "Everything fell apart," she whispered. "The contract, the investors, everything." He leaned against the wall, arms crossed. She wiped her tears. "I can apologize. I can fix this if you let me talk to someone at Mercer. Please, put me in touch with whoever made the decision." "You're talking to him," Evan said. She blinked. "What?" He spoke slowly. "Mercer Infrastructure Holdings is mine, Adriana." Her mouth dropped open. "I own it. Every arm. Every subsidiary. Every fund behind your company's growth." She shook her head violently. "No, No, that's not possible. You can't. You never cared to ask, he said. He walked past her into the kitchen. I built your entire company from the shadows. Every investor you brag about? They came through my trust. Every introduction? My network. Tears streamed down her face. I didn't know, she sobbed. Evan, I swear. You didn't want to know. His voice cracked, not in weakness, but in betrayal. You called me poor, mediocre, unworthy. You humiliated me in front of 300 people, and the whole world saw it. She fell to her knees. Evan, please. I'll give up the company. I'll fix everything. Just, please don't leave me with nothing. He studied her. The trust, he said calmly. Everything I own is protected by an irrevocable trust one created before we married. You can't touch a cent, not in divorce, not in settlement. Her breath hitched. You're divorcing me? I already called my lawyer. Evan, please. I'm begging you. She reached for him, but he stepped back. You should have thought of that before pouring wine on the man who built your future. He walked down the hallway and closed the bedroom door behind him. She remained kneeling on the floor, sobbing into her hands. The apartment, once filled with her voice, was now hollow, silent, and cold. True silence. The kind that exists only when forgiveness has left the room. In the end, the fall of Adriana became more than a personal tragedy. It became a quiet warning echoed across corporate halls, social circles, and online conversations around the world. Those who once admired her rise now spoke of her downfall with a mix of shock and inevitability, as if everything had been set in motion the moment she placed her pride above her character and her thirst for status above the people who loved her. The truth was harsh but undeniable. Adriana spent years building an empire of image, forgetting that true power does not lie in contracts worth millions, glittering galas, or the applause of strangers. Real power, lasting power, is found in loyalty, humility, and in the relationships we nurture when no cameras are watching. Hunter had been her foundation all along, steady, faithful, and invisible only because she never cared to look. She mistook humility for weakness, simplicity for lack of ambition, and silence for insignificance. What she never realized was that the strongest people often don't need to announce themselves. They act quietly, shaping futures in ways others fail to see. When Adriana threw that glass of wine, she wasn't humiliating a man she believed beneath her. She was severing the very bond that had sustained her success. And some bonds, once broken, cannot be repaired. The moral of the story is this: never underestimate a person's worth based on appearances, wealth, or social rank. Some of the greatest strengths walk softly, and one of life's gravest mistakes is confusing kindness with weakness. Respect is free, but losing it can cost everything. Which part of this story touched you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, so you won't miss any of our next emotional stories.